Y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to one of probably gonna be one of the first of multiple, I can't speak. But today I'm going to be doing a sort of retro reviewing a product that has since been released for a while, but I didn't get an initial release and didn't review then, so we're reviewing it now because I have it now. And I plan on doing this with probably other palettes in my collection that I already own that, you know, have existed for a while. But you know, it's not always about reviewing what's new and what's hyped and what's ever. You know, sometimes people want to know about stuff that's been on the market for a while. But I am beyond ecstatic for the two palettes I'm going to be reviewing today. Y'all probably know your girl got the Midas Cosmetics and Smokey Glow collaboration, and that palette, whew, it just about blew me away. I will leave the review of that down below. I think it is absolutely amazing, and that got me kind of in like the, well, you know, this eyeshadow quality be like bomb diggity. I got a cute little email from them that was all like, hey, you know that lemonade yellow palette that we released that was all kinds of snazzy? Well, we restocked it, and even that, it's on sale. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get me a nice little yellow moment. And then, you know, because there was another palette that I actually really wanted when it was released, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this in a video discussing makeup that I wish I had purchased. And at the time, I'm pretty sure this was limited edition, but this is the High Times palette. It's just all kinds of orangey and greeny and grunge, you know, basically everything I look for in a neutral color story. So we are going to be going over both of these palettes today. We're going to swatch, then we're going to talk about them, all that jazz. I know I asked on Snapchat if y'all wanted to see a review on these, and quite a few of you were like, yes, do that jazz, you know, and we're all kinds of, you know, stuck in the house and whatever, and so I'm like, content. And the Midas Cosmetics, their palettes are really nicely priced. They are more on the affordable side. They are an indie brand. I'm pretty sure this one was like in the $18 mark, and then this one was like 21. But there are a myriad of wonderful affiliate codes, I believe, from Teresa is Dead. That's the one that I used, and then obviously Smokey Glow has one. I'm pretty sure Lacey from Spooky Lips and Fat Hips has one, which I think gets you like 30% off, which is a pretty significant discount. So even in being affordable, you do have that option to use, you know, the nicey and to support and add a little income to your favorite YouTubers. We are gonna start with what is on my fabulously lit peepers today. Like I said, this is the High Times eyeshadow palette. Now, I went in and I was just doing kind of easy peasy. I started off with Tangy right here, and then I went into Harlequin, and then we deepened it up finally with Sinex. Not entirely familiar with that. Then we did Cali Mist here, all up in here, and then for the lower lash line, I did a little bit of Trainwreck, and then we finished deepening that up with Sinex. If you hear my cat screaming, Coco, it's because she has separation anxiety from my husband. Now we just gonna pull this sleeve back because whenever I have to swatch something, y'all know I wear long sleeves. Alright, we are just gonna go, I think we're gonna go whoop, whoop, whoop this time around. So we are starting off with Tangy right here. For the first time in a while, I don't have fancy nails on, so swatching is gonna be a lot easier. And then Cali Mist right here, which feels so buttery smooth. Got that going on there. I mean, can we look at the pigmentation level on that green? And y'all know your girl is a connoisseur of a myriad of green shades, and that is just absolutely stunning. Next up is Sinex, I don't know. Some of y'all can enlighten me down below. Then we have Gelato, which is, y'all know when it comes to greens, your girl loves a good shimmery green. We got these going on right here. I mean, look at that. first. And then last, right here. I mean, just this amount of this color story alone is giving me all kinds of feels. Y'all know I like me some orangey reddy neutrals, and y'all know I like green, so I am a little bit biased when it comes to the color story. Next up here is Sage, which is another absolutely beautiful, very dark and deep green. Then we have Joint, and I will say the majority of the mattes feel really nice and smooth. Even these deep ones. This one here is OG Kush, which is a very dark shade. And then we have them right here, going on there like that. Then in the last row we have Harlequin, which, you know, feels all nice and smoothy smooth. We have Jilly Bean, and then Acapulco. I think it's Acapulco or Pultico. I don't know. I may not be fancy enough to understand that. Here we have this, and this going on right here. So here we have the ever so beautiful color range. I mean, that one, that one, that one, that one. This one is not showing up nearly as fancy in the swatch as the way it works on the eyes. Same with this one. I don't know if that's because we start to get more textured and hairy as we go down the arm. I know a lot of people swatch on this side of the arm because it's all kinds of smooth. That's really beautiful. I really like that. I mean, kind of like I said, when it comes to the color story, there's not really anything in here that I don't love. And I love the fact that this palette does not have one of those light pasty ecru eggshell taupe setting shades. They gave you something with a bit of color, and this shade, I will admit, it does go on like you're looking at that and you're like, oh, that's kind of a nice soft wood. No, it got heckin' pigmented. It's what I started out with. You can see it kind of out there in the outer whatever, heckin' pigmented. All right, now let's move on to the Lemonade palette. I have it upside down. The Lemonade palette, which I absolutely love. The packaging on this is just so cute. For being like an indie, more affordable brand, they bring a lot to the table in terms of like packaging and presentation. You got the bad boy looking like this situation. So we're just gonna go whoop, 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 you know, not too whatever. They are these shades. Oh, they are named. So we have Sweet, Squeeze, and Zesty up here first going on. And the mattes in this palette feel so nice. These kind of like the yellow shades. Oh my goodness, that's so pretty. But yellow shades can feel like real chalky real quick. But these feel so nice. Then down here we have Juicy, Fresh, and Frozen. I mean, I love these shimmers. They're just, I love this yellow because it's kind of like almost green based maybe. I don't know. I'm not a color theorist. Then this one right here, which is like Daffodil Packet on Sunshine Yellow. Going on there, and there. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Then last but not least, we have got Bitter, Tart, and Twist. I absolutely love this yellow here because it's kind of like that marigold kind of mustardy yellow color, which I'm pretty much living for. And then I also love this one here. It's just so pretty. I mean, you're looking at it in the pan and you're like, ah, it's a little browny, a little bronzy, but it's just this beautiful yellow gold. And then I also love this shade here because it's very unique, feels buttery smooth. It's just like this really nice kind of like, it's neutral, but it's like funky enough for like to vibe with me. This palette actually plays beautifully with both the Midas Cosmetics Gemini as well as the Rust palette. So here we have these right here. I mean, these two shades, just, I mean, one, two, those three shades, these three mattes here, just go and swatch so smooth. They just feel and glide like butter, which is kind of great because butter is yellow and this palette is yellow. So here we have the colors here. I mean, it's a yellow palette. I find actually that with this, the majority of the swatches do not, like with the High Times one and with the Smokey Glow one, you swatch it and you're like, holy heckin' pigment. And here, the majority of the swatches, especially this like first little bit here, don't really showcase how nice these work and apply on the eye. I think it might have to do with the fact that when I do these work really, really well. For when I do my typical eyeshadow, I just take my foundation because I do my foundation here so that I can do my brows. And then I do my eye makeup, and what I do is I just bring my foundation down and just kind of use that as like, I don't know, a base. And with me doing that, these things pop like nobody's business. So definitely for the majority of these, don't take the swatches as an accurate depiction of how these are going to apply or work on the eyes. Okay, let's start off talking about the High Times palette. So color theory, I absolutely love this. I feel like this is kind of like in the way of the Midas Cosmetics Gemini palette. It's a very unique mashup and not something that I think a lot of mainstream brands like Too Faced or Urban Decay or Huda Beauty or even, you know, Jeffree Star. I don't feel like this is something that they would like typically do, or even Anastasia, because it's just enough out of that like neutral comfort zone for it to be a little bit zany, a little bit more alternative. But y'all, that aside, I must say that for kind of the way I am with ColourPop, I am so upset with myself that it has taken me this long to try out this company, because the quality of their eyeshadows, both matte and shimmer, is absolutely beautiful. I mean, they perform the way that you would expect paying for Jeffree Star and Natasha Denona would perform. Now the shimmers are nice, they're pigmented and shimmy shiny, but y'all know, if you've heard me say it once, I will say it 1,000,000 times. The mattes in a palette build the backbone of said palette, and this palette is such a very strong, sturdy, robust backbone. They're just so nice, and they're pigmented. They are powdery, but you know, like you can see, oh, can you, like kind of in the pan, you can see a little bit of kick up going on. But what I find is even with that, I don't experience a lot of fallout when I go from brush to eye. And also, they just blend. The blend on these shadows is so beautiful. Like, you know, sometimes when you do, you know, different colors, you know, you'll start with one thing, or at least the way that I do my eyeshadow. Sometimes when you go from like, typically when I do mine, y'all have seen how I do tutorials, is I'll start with the lightest and then I will, you know, continue gradating it until I get down to the deep dark and whatever. But sometimes when you do your eyeshadow like that, the more layers you have, the less willing an eyeshadow is to, you know, stick and have pigment over another one. Not with these. They will adhere and blend out and remain pigmented to whatever freaking shade you want to put down. And even colors that you're like, oh, that might not blend so nicey nice into whatever. I would live for Midas Cosmetics to do a blue palette, because blues can be such a pain to work with, especially when you're trying to work them with another color. Like you're starting with a pink and then you're going in with a blue, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be pigmented, I'm gonna be over top that pink, but I ain't gonna blend. These blend basically perfectly. I mean, if they came out with singles, if they came out with more palettes, I mean, I really want the Flower Bomb one, and I bought one of their little like 4-pan ones. I want those. You know, I cannot recommend the quality of this so much. I think it is a very beautiful and unique color story. When I go to say story and then I'm thinking theory, it kind of just comes out story. But absolutely love and absolutely recommend this. And this is also a palette that works beautifully. So if you have either. The Melt Cosmetics Gemini, what is it? The one palette that Melt did with all the shimmers, the Smoke Sessions palette, or 27, or the Rust palette. I mean, you have one of those with this and you are good to go and create the most amazing and beautiful, pigmented and blendable, greeny, neutral, ready, orangey, bronzy, grungy looks. I mean, y'all know that is a companionship and a color story that I am absolutely living for. Then we have our little lemonade child here. I'm gonna be straight up honest with y'all. I would recommend this more than the ColourPop yellow palette. The, just a minute. The Honey palette, monochromatic palette by ColourPop, which, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Midas Cosmetics did the Lemonade palette before ColourPop decided to jump on that yellow bandwagon. But while this palette is nice, I mean, for one, it has a pressed glitter in the middle, and I consider that a throwaway shade. Y'all know how I feel about pressed glitters. But I feel like the Midas Cosmetics palette gives you just a bit more depth, and not even just more depth. It gives you a better yellow experience. Like, I mean, if you're someone who's looking for yellow, and I understand it takes a very specific demographic to be looking for this kind of thing, but this is the thing to get. The shimmers are beautiful, they're popping, they're shimmy, they shiny. You know, the ColourPop is nice, and if you're really obsessed with yellow, I mean, go with both, but I feel like this one is just a truer representation of yellow. Like here you've got, you know, I mean, that one's brown, that one's, you know, I mean, just some of these ones that could have been so much more yellow are just a little bit more flat. And like I said, with the swatches, I hate it when I mean, I understand and I'm learning that swatches do not entail the quality or the blendability or the overall true pigmentation of a palette. The swatches do not represent accurately how nicely this palette works. And what I love about the Midas Cosmetics eyeshadow formula, besides their shimmers being all kinds of beautiful and smooth, besides their mattes being all kinds of creamy, buttery, and blendable, and heckin' pigmented, the Midas Cosmetics formula is a formula that plays really well with other formulas, and that can't be said of every brand, of every formula. I'm sure we've all been there where you're like, well, I'm gonna mix these two palettes together, and they don't want to play. The formula of all three of the four palettes, I have that little mini one, of all four of the palettes I've used from them, works just as well on its own as it does with someone else. So I would highly recommend this one too. It's just, I mean, for nothing else, these two shades right here are absolutely stunning. I also think that's a more unique yellow. I mean, for it being a monochromatic palette and for it being such a, I feel like when it comes to, like, you know, purple and pink and red and green even, you know, you have a lot of room for gradation. And so for it being such a, you know, specific niche color, I feel like they did a very beautiful layout. So basically, all in all, if you haven't tried this company, this brand, go out and do it. I feel like currently on the market, their eyeshadow formula is one of the most underrated, and it's kind of sad that not a lot of, I really love the fact that Smokey Glow, Hannah, she's blazing the Midas Cosmetics trail, because I think if more people were to jump on this bandwagon, they would have like a boom, a growth like, say, Juvia's Place, or even, you know, I mean, we're talking about brands that have a boom that don't necessarily have the best formula. I mean, Morphe's all kinds of famous, and these formulas are so superior to Morphe. So at some point in time, I would like to see Midas Cosmetics on that tier of a pedestal. So there we have that review. I'm so happy and just excited to actually have, because like I said, when that High Times palette came out and when the Lemonade palette came out, I'm not sure why I didn't buy them, but I I didn't, and for a long time I was sad and whatever about it. Now I have it and it makes me so happy, and like I said, I think they are such an underrated formula and such an underrated brand. And I also really enjoyed this whole like retro review type thing, you know, where you're reviewing a palette that people want to hear about, but it's not necessarily something that's new. And sometimes that's nice, because whenever it comes to reviewing new things, you have the stress of like, all right, I gotta go out and I gotta get it and I gotta get it up and I gotta get the review up while there's still hype and whatever, so I can get the views and the whateverness. So I think it's good to kind of pepper that with like just some like, you know, simple, plain, non-stressful reviews. Just some informative palette discussion. Obviously, I'd love to hear what y'all have to say about these palettes. I think they are top notch. But obviously we all have different experiences. Let me know if you love them, you hate them, all that jazz. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!